welcome to Curl Up with Cathy Bramley, where I talk to different authors every day and then share our chat with you. I've got a great guest today. Last time I saw her, I think, we were roommates in a little flat at a conference last summer, which was really, really good fun. I haven't seen her for a while because she lives miles away from me, but I'm delighted to introduce Liz Fenwick. Good morning, Liz. Hello.
Good morning. I like this.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah.
So here we are. You're right down at the bottom of Cornwall, aren't you?
Yes.
And I'm in Nottinghamshire, so we're miles away, but we are connected.
Absolutely.
By a lot more than just books.
True. Very true.
So how are you? How are you getting on with things down there?
Pretty much okay. I mean, my life in many ways hasn't changed. I'm still here at my desk. I'm still working. The change has come in. I'm used to being on my own during the week. And I now have a husband and a university daughter back. And I'm suddenly having to work around other people.
Yeah, that is me exactly. We've got a house full. And luckily, I've just handed in a first draft, so I've got a little bit of breathing space before I have to start editing. So that's quite nice. But I'm so busy. I've never been so busy. I don't know what I'm doing, but I just seem to be really, really busy.
I'm busy too. There's no question about it. It's weird, and I find I'm really exhausted by the time 4:00 comes around.
Yeah.
And yet I'm not really doing anything different.
I think it takes up a lot of mental energy, doesn't it? This situation we're in, it's for sure. So, are you getting out and about? Have you got some nice walks near you?
Yeah, I'm a bit spoiled that way. I'm almost afraid to post pictures of the daily walk at the moment, because I normally would post them under my #plotwalk, because I do a lot of my writing thinking when I'm walking. But now I'm almost not. I'm just posting pictures of Ziggy, the cat. Because I feel it's unfair that, within moments I have some of the most spectacular scenery in the UK.
Oh, don't feel bad about that. Whereabouts actually are you?
Just off the Helford River. So I'm on the Lizard, and it's remote. It's gorgeous. Yeah. And the sea's right there, 5 minutes on a slow crawl from the house. I'm by the water.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Can you see the sea from your house?
No, I wish I could, but no, I can't.
How did you end up in Cornwall?
Oh, well, that all has to do with my husband. Back when we first met in 1989, actually, it was 3 weeks after we started dating, he invited me down to his parents, and they had, it's no longer in the family, this beautiful house that's set on a hillside. It's called Treetops, overlooking the Helford River out to Falmouth Bay. And he took me down a weekend in June, and it was just magnificent. And I fell in love with Cornwall. I was still getting to know him, but my heart was totally lost. But the fact of the matter is, I hadn't realized, and anybody who spent any time down here, there's the Cornwall test. And if I hadn't fallen in love with Cornwall, we wouldn't be coming up to our 29th wedding anniversary.
I think Tony and I met in 1989.
Oh, good year.
Right at the end, though. Right at the end in December it was.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was, between Christmas and New Year. So it just slipped into the 80s.
No, I've moved to the UK. I left Boston on the 19th of April, which to you won't mean anything, but it is the day of Paul Revere's ride. So, the British are coming, and it's actually a holiday. It's evacuation day in Boston. And my mother stood in the airport and said to me, "Do you realize we won the war?" And I've never looked back. I was coming over for 3 years, met Chris, I think 2 weeks after I arrived, and here I am now.
So were you coming to university then? Is that why you were doing 3 years?
No, I'm a bit older than that. I was coming over to work in the insurance market. I'm lucky enough that all 4 of my grandparents are Irish, so I have Irish citizenship. So I was able to come over and work in the Lloyd's market without any problems.
Oh, we see. I didn't know that about you. Didn't know that about you. So tell us a little bit about A Path to the Sea. I've got your cover of your latest book here, A Path to the Sea. It's a beautiful cover, isn't it? It's just
You just
glorious.
want to be there, don't you?
Is that a real place?
It's a picture of Sennen. It's not actually the setting for the book, but that's okay.
No.
I love it. The book is set, if anybody's seen the About Time film, Richard Curtis' last film.
Yes.
Yeah, it's set at
film.
House, which I call Boskenna in the book. And I think the hardship of it, I rented the house for a week for research. And it was fascinating. I filled it. The house will sleep 21. So I filled it with 21 family and friends. And my middle son, a lot of his university buddies came down because I wanted to know what the house felt like when it was full.
Yeah.
And by the end of the week, there were 4 of us staying in this massive house. So I had both extremes, full to the gunnels and then, kind of wandering around in this beautiful setting. The Path to the Sea, it is Rosamund Pilcher meets John le Carre light. I had a lot of fun with it. It's Cornwall in the Cold War and current day. So it's secrets of the past coming to the present.
Yeah, well, I loved it. I loved this book.
Oh, thank you.
I read it in hardback, I guess.
Yes.
Was it hardback? Yeah, when it first came out.
Last year it came out in hardback.
Yeah, it's a great book. And you do generally write about Cornwall, don't you?
I do. It's, I fell in love with Cornwall and I didn't know at the time it would become my muse. I just see stories in the landscape, which makes me sound like I'm totally insane and committable. But I have to have a location and a setting for me to start writing a book. And it certainly was the case of the idea for The Path to the Sea came from a discussion with Bridget Cody initially. She pulled a cookbook off the shelf, this old notebook that my sisters-in-law, when my mother-in-law died, handed it to me. And I thought, oh, great. They don't want it, so I've got it. And I looked in it and I could see cuttings from the Telegraph and the Times and the Evening Standard of recipes.
Yeah.
And didn't think anything more of it, stuck it on the bookshelf and left it there. And Bridget was down staying with us and she pulled it off and she said, this is absolutely fascinating. Do you realize your mother-in-law recorded every dinner party she gave in the 60s and 70s, listed every meal that she served so that she never served the same meal again, put down seating plans, listed who, sometimes even what she wore if it was a really important thing. I thought, oh no. And she said, oh, you have to write the Cornish Supper Club. Yeah. And I thought, not sure. That wasn't quite it. And then my husband walked into the kitchen and Chris said, oh, I remember those. I used to sit in the kitchen with Mrs. Bung, her real name, who helped his mother and wait for the good food to come back. And they had a serving hatch in the house. And he would sit there peering through. And I suddenly thought, oh, what if a child sees something that they don't understand, but changes their life forever?
Yeah.
So that kind of mulled around in my head for quite a long time because I didn't have the setting. And then, as one does, I was skimming through the internet and saw that you could rent the About Time house. And I thought, there is my setting.
Wow. No, that was a lovely film. It's one of Holly Martin, Holly Martin, the author. It's one of her favourite films. She recommended it to a group of us, and it is a really lovely film. And I'm going to go back now. Now that you've said that, I hadn't realised, so I'm going to go back and watch that again because it is a lovely place.
I think it's his best film. Because although it's a romantic comedy, that's not actually what the film's about. No,
it isn't. No. When he has that little scene with his son at the end. Oh, it's so lovely. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to. We won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen About Time, the romantic comedy, well worth it. Yeah. I'm glad you've reminded me about that. It's a really good film. Yeah. So obviously you're a very, very busy author and mum and wife and cat owner.
Yes.
Cat owner Ziggy it's Cat Ziggy that we see on lots of your pictures. But you also have a role as a liaison for the organisation that you and I are both in, the Romantic Novelists Association. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I'll just minimise this.
I believe in bookshops. I love them, and I am the bookseller liaison. So I champion the RNA anytime I'm talking to booksellers, which I do a tremendous amount. And basically, I'm trying to promote the genre of romantic fiction and women's fiction and all the other titles that we are in some ways lumbered with, despite the fact that we're the feel-good emotional part. It's
Yeah.
exactly what people need right now in these dark times. And I think all readers are Catholic with a small c. I don't think we read just one genre. Um, but going through, a lot of people have prejudice against us. So my role, as I see it, is to champion who we are and what we write. Um, and it is romance, it is escapism, it is love stories. They will sweep you away. But sometimes I think people just kind of brush us aside.
Yeah, because we tackle all sorts of things. It's family, community, kindness, and we deal with the ups and downs of real life, don't we?
We
We
certainly
encompass all
do.
of those things. Everything from domestic violence to death to all sorts of things. On every part of the scale, romantic fiction does cover all those things. So I think ignore us at your peril. That's just what
Exactly.
I
I think the great Millie Johnson said it beautifully in her acceptance speech this year at the awards, that we provide so much. We show people themselves, and living through difficult times, and that there's a possible way out.
Yeah.
You can stand up for yourself, because I think if you look at the protagonist of most of our novels, they are real women facing real problems, and it doesn't matter what background they come from, because if you read the genre, you have the high and you have the low, and everybody faces the same issues.
Yeah, which is a bit like now, isn't it?
Yeah. Doesn't
all
matter who
stuck,
you are.
no, all
You're
stuck at home. And this virus doesn't discriminate, does it?
No, not at all.
No. So very, very interesting. Yeah, and a great job there. And of course, we're all hoping that the booksellers can pull through this, and we, doing what we can to support them.
Absolutely. Some of them are valiantly still selling stock that they have in, because a lot of the distributors have now shut doors.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. I think there's only one still sending books out. So I know Bookish Crick is still sending out, because I ordered a book from her yesterday. Sadly, Hive stores, which sells books on the internet for independent booksellers, has closed its doors temporarily. Yeah. So it's tough times.
Yeah,
I
bought from Bert's Books the other day.
Yes, I'm following Twitter and seeing who's still selling books and putting in an order. Thinking, oh well, I thought I might want that one.
Yeah,
so let's go ahead and do that one.
Treat yourself to a book. Now's the time. Can't treat ourselves.
Well, we have time to read them.
Yeah. What are you working on next? Have you got another one in the pipeline?
As yet untitled book 8, and controversially set on the Tamar, so both in Devon and Cornwall, but still Jan first. Priorities here.
Yeah.
And it's again dual timeline, set in the summer leading up to World War I, so 1914 and current day. Think forgotten crossings, forlorn cottages, and forbidden love.
Oh, sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
sounds great. So when will that be out? Similar time?
Sometime next year.
Yeah.
I think all publishing schedules are being shifted and moved at great rates of naught. I mean, there are those of us like you and I who have books out right now, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're there and the books are available. But I feel for all the authors, there's so many good books coming out today, but that are coming out in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And don't know what they're facing.
No.
And
they don't know
with some publication schedules are being moved for the big names, to make it more favorable. But there's those of us who sit in the mid list who take what we get.
But in the meantime, you've got beautiful scenery surrounding you.
Oh, I have.
Got your lovely cat. You've got a beautiful house. And you can peruse the internet for wonderful settings for your next book. How does that sound?
Well, I know with the next book's being said, it's the one after that that's already brewing. Do you know your next book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got one coming out as an ebook series in the summer, which will be paperback next year. And I've written the one after that as well. So I've got 2 that are written and ready to go. Well, no, that's not strictly true. I've got one that's written and ready to go, one that I've done the first draft, but it hasn't been edited. And I'm now plotting for another.
Impressive.
But I've decided where that's going to be. So I'm quite happy about that. I think I'm going to go back to the Lake District for that one.
Oh, nice.
I love writing about the Lake District. It's one of my favourite places. So
I think we have locations that speak to our heart.
I've got very, very fond memories of the Lake District, so I'm going to go back there for that one.
Good.
Right. Well, it's been lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining me. Yeah, it's been great.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, and please post lovely pictures of your plot walk. We missed them.
I will.
Okay, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, lovely Liz there. And if you haven't seen her kitten, Ziggy, well, cat now, I suppose, Ziggy, absolutely gorgeous cat. So do look for her on Twitter and Facebook. Well, that's all for me for now. And thanks so much for watching. And I'll be back with another of your favourite authors very soon. Bye.